All right, welcome to B-7. This is page 10. And this is one of my favorite parts. We're going to modify some shapes using a feature called Puppet Warp, which allows you to treat your creature, or whatever you're drawing, as if it has kind of a mesh over it, and you're just reshaping it. Kind of like Play-Doh, honestly. With this, you can add pins, and then move the little pin points around. Now, what we're going to do here first is we're going to make sure that that black piece and the face are grouped again because they got ungrouped in the last session. So remember, just click on the face, hold down Shift, click on the black feather down there, and then hit group. We do want them to all be in one. And the eyeball is probably behind. That's okay. Leave it back there for now. We'll move it in just a minute. Okay, we are going to use Puppet Warp. This is hidden under the Free Transform tool. So the Free Transform tool, if you press E, or just locate it over there. It looks like a box with the arrow on it. You're going to click it, and under Free Transform is Puppet Warp. Okay, so when we click on Puppet Warp, this crazy thing happens, and this is that mesh that I was talking about. You're going to see a mesh that pops up, and basically you add pins in places where you want to play Play-Doh. Okay, so like down here on our tail, I'm going to go ahead and add some extra little pins, and you can add them really anywhere you want, but they all kind of interact with each other. So when you move a pin, see, it kind of affects the pins around it. So it's not just moving the one thing. It may also move others. You can pick up and move those pins around or add additional pins if you want. So like I might add one up in there so that I can pull this in a little bit, you know, or whatever. Or you could even do the same thing up here on the head and be able to kind of shape that around a little bit more if you wanted to as well. Okay. But that's basically it. The Puppet Warp is a lot of fun because if you have an item that's grouped like this, you can just add in some Puppet Warp pins and then just change your object ever so slightly and have a little more control over it than trying to draw with the direct selection arrow and making sure you have all the right points. Okay? All right, let's get out of Puppet Warp. So I'm going to press V on a keyboard to go back to the main selection tool. All right, that looks good. Let's go ahead, though, and send this all to the back. Right-click Arrange, Send to Back, so our eyeball is back in front where it belongs. Okay, and that's basically the Puppet Warp tool. Very cool. You could use it on any shape as a starting shape. All right, so far we have used fills for everything, right? I've had you turn the stroke button off, so we have had no strokes on anything. That's the easiest type of objects to manipulate, especially when you're using the shape finder or the shape modes and the pathfinders and all of those items. But there are a couple of tools that don't draw in fills. Brushes and line tools actually draw in strokes, so they don't have fills, which is very confusing. Now I want to show you what that means. We're going to press Control Y, and when you do, what you're going to see is the outline view of your shapes. Okay, and because we have no strokes, well, it won't matter. You can't see strokes at all in outline view because strokes have a number assigned to them and they're almost like styled, if you will, whereas fills have a width and they have a color and they have all of that stuff. Okay, now to get back and forth, you can press Control Y to get in there or Control Y to get out. Either way. Okay, so there we go. All that good stuff there. Now we're going to take the line tool and we're going to draw a straight line. So grab your line tool, it's above your oval, your ellipse, and just draw a straight line. And you can just click and drag and draw. If you want to make sure it's perfectly straight, you can hold Shift and it'll stay on the line. Okay, so now we have drawn a line. And if you go over to the appearance part of the properties panel or up top, either way, where it says stroke, you're just going to hit the up arrow to give it a stroke. Okay, now I'm just going to go kind of crazy here and like make it 10. Okay, so actually I guess 6. I have 6 in the instructions. We'll go with 6. Okay, so I've got it at 6. Now if we go into that Control Y again, notice we can't tell that it's a thick line. And that's because lines are drawn, the line tool draws using strokes, not fills. So it's not a filled in shape. It's a line that's made thick. And that does matter because the Pathfinder won't let me punch out with stuff and divide with stuff if they're not made from fills. Okay? But sometimes you like to use this tool the line tool. And then you're like, ugh, but I want to use the Pathfinder. Well, then you can't. Okay. So anyway, that's how that works. By the way, one more note about strokes. I'm going to zoom up on this stroke here. Notice that when you create a stroke, it automatically has a flat end to the stroke. When you click over here on the word stroke, notice there is what's called a cap. This is a butt cap, but right next to it, you can also use a round cap. And see, that's going to give you a line that's round on the end. Okay, so, and then there's projecting cap, which is going to also be like the butt cap, which is a straight cap. Okay, but just know there is a difference there, and you can modify that there in the stroke panel. All right, let's go ahead and sneak to page 11, B-8. We're going to use the line tool here and expand it to create a whole foot from it, because we can't create a foot from just a line. Okay, so I've got this here. And then I'm going to basically draw 2 more lines. So we're just going to draw them kind of through. So here's a line. And then I'll draw another line. And you can draw it however you want to, like maybe there, and then one kind of in the middle of them, kind of going in there. Something like that. We're making like a chicken foot kind of thing, right? A bird foot. All right. So now in the outline view, it looks like this, right? So that's going on there. So let's go ahead and select all of these. Again, I'll take my black arrow tool and just kind of draw a little box that touches all of them a little bit. And I'm going to group them. So now they would all move, you know, like they should. Now, while they're grouped, you can change the stroke size and make them thicker. So let's go ahead and make it a 10-point stroke. And then again, if you go to outline view, it still looks no different. It looks like little tiny skinny legs. So in order to make all of these one path, we have to actually expand them and turn them into filled in shapes. Okay. And that option is under Object and Expand. And you're going to hit OK and watch what's going to happen. So that blue line, if we hit OK, now look what we've got. I'm going to press Control Y. There. See what we've got there? Now you can see where the lines are separate little squares, rectangles, whatever, down here. So we're going to unite them with the Pathfinder. I'll just leave it in outline view while I do this. Under shape mode, remember unite is what you use to merge them all into one shape. So we'll click on that, and there you go. See what happened there? Now it's a filled in shape. If we go back, Control Y, to the main view, it's not a stroke anymore, it's a fill. And honestly, if I were to stroke this now, I would be stroking around the shape, because now it's treating it like it's a fill, or like it's a shape, as if I drew it that way. All right, last thing here to do, we're going to duplicate the leg. So we're going to resize and move this leg into position. Now at this time, I am going to go ahead and grab a hold of all this and just scoot it up a bit. Okay, and then we're going to resize this, and you can resize it however you want. Well, those might be a little small. Okay, and kind of put that in position, and then hold down Alt and drag to get a second foot, and go ahead and put that one in position. So you could have kind of one in front of the other one a little bit if you wanted to, or, you know, however you think looks good right there. All right, so now we're at this point. Let's go ahead and give it a save. That gets us to the bottom of page 11.